here's the brutal reality. This is truth. I wish it wasn't, but we don't learn a lot when things are going well.
No.
When the sky is blue and our belly's full, the bills are paid, we don't learn jack during those moments. We coast, and it's nice to be in that zone for a while because it gives us some mental breathing room. It allows us to kind of celebrate if we're doing well, for a while. But we don't learn much in that zone or anything. We learn a lot when things go sideways or get pear shaped. We learn a lot and we learn it quick about ourselves, about the world around us, who we can lean on, what's most important. We learn a lot in those moments. And those are the moments that are transformative, and they should be embraced. We sometimes so try to duck out of that painful moment that I've learned, the older I get, the more I've learned to just stand in the face of that fire and just embrace it. Just go, here I am. I'm going to lean into this. We always said in the military, embrace the suck. When you do that, you get something out of that experience. You grow through that experience. You don't just get through it, you grow through it, because then you're able to fully be aware of what's going on, how it feels. You're able to process things so much better instead of trying to run away and the thing catches up with you anyway. And then you're compromised and kind of stumbling, out of it. But just to be able to sit there and look at it clear eyed. One of the things I talk about in the book is, our warriors counted coup on fear. It's a Plains tribes tradition where warriors would stand face to face with an enemy combatant and would simply touch them in live combat, either with their hand or a stick meant for that purpose, called a coup stick. And that was it. And the reason why that was an honor higher than actually killing an enemy on the field of battle is because of what it required. It required the courage to stand toe to toe, eye to eye, face to face with a threat and say, I'm not afraid of you. I'm so not afraid of you. I'm not even going to harm you. And when we can do that towards our own fears, I mean, we're so much better for it. The people in our lives are better for it, to where, and I'm talking everyday courage. I'm not talking about swimming with, alligators or bungee jumping. I'm talking about asking for help when we need it. Starting that project that scares the what out of us, apologizing to somebody because we were a knucklehead or said something thoughtless in a moment, or, confronting somebody's bad behavior or our own. Those things take courage too. And, being able to stand there face to face and deal with that stuff, it just makes us a better version of ourselves. And we learn a lot through those moments. We're transformed through them.
Yeah, I think you touched on something really important that you talk about in the book, this idea of just knowing when to ask for help. That a lot of times people would see that as a weak warrior, let's say, if you're needing help or you're seeking guidance outside, because warrior does it all on his own kind of mentality. But the truth is a warrior knows exactly when to rest, and he knows exactly when to ask for help. So
Yes.
I think that's such a really crucial part in the book, and it's a crucial concept of warrior spirit, is, as you touched on, is that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to show your emotions. It takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable.
It does.
So yeah,
it does. And that's a great point you're bringing up. I mean, that whole idea of, when we keep the idea in mind of what we're here to do as a warrior, it's to serve and contribute. It's to do the best we can to impact the world in a positive way. When we get in our own way, that's when we start locking ourselves into a corner. Say, I don't want to admit that I don't know everything. I don't want to ask for help. I'll just figure it out. We're banging our head on a wall to get through when the person next to us has a ladder. There is working smarter and working harder, right? And sometimes just being a goofball. We've all done it, but I'm just saying that when we think about the role that a warrior needs to fulfill, it's not about self. Our warriors were very clear in their purpose. It was to feed and protect their people, not to feed and protect their ego. And when we paint ourselves into that corner, that's when we say, I'm not going to get help, even if I desperately need it. I told a story in the book about Alex White, one of my great friends. He was a lieutenant of mine, worked for me. Just a super guy, and saw a lot of combat, during the recent wars. And he had a lot of issues with PTSD. And one of the things that he said to me, and he was special forces, so pretty high speed. That culture is all about invulnerability. And one of the things he said in the book is when he finally got to a point where he admitted he needed help, and he has since gotten it, and he continues to get it, which is amazing because he's a better person for it, better family man, better father. But he said something that was so, still gives me goosebumps when I read it, back even in the book, is there was a humiliation in humility. Like to admit that we needed help, like it was trained out of them to be able to seek that out. And when that happens, it puts us into a corner very quickly. In our anxiety, our stress goes up. We feel isolated, alone. And that was one of the things that I think is so powerful to understand is even, you know, we all struggle. We all make mistakes. We all stumble. We all need outside encouragement and help because we over romanticize that warrior role and think it's somebody beyond pain, beyond fear. They never have doubt, hesitation. All they need is the next worthy challenge. And that's all a bunch of baloney. That gets us into trouble, and it makes the warrior role inaccessible too. So there's a double whammy there. Number one, it's unrealistic, but number two, it makes it, where we can't even approach that role, even though it's a beautiful archetype about impact, about, contribution and serving people, but we make it inaccessible when we look at it that way.